Hey guys, welcome to my channel that I've literally wanted to start forever. If you don't know me, my name is Cecilia. I'm 17 years old, and since I've just graduated high school and I'm going to college in the fall, I figured what is a better time than probably the last summer of my life to do this thing that I've always wanted to. So if you're here right now, you probably already know me in real life, and you would also know that I love studying, reading, and all kinds of sports. So be sure to click on that subscribe button and turn on notifications if you want to see more about my lifestyle. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about this really great strategy that I use to memorize vocabulary and improve my vocabulary, because I think learning about words is so fun and it is genuinely so useful as well. Like in primary and middle school, I used to get B's and C's in English because my teacher said the words I used were so basic. But now, basically all my humanities teachers compliment my vocabulary, and I also got a 790 on the English section of my SAT. I'm not saying this to flex, obviously, but to tell you how you can do this too. And the one thing that I learned was that your vocabulary doesn't improve if A, you're not intentional about it, or B, you do it wrong. I used to think that memorizing a words list is just for ESL students, but no, actually, it can literally help you with so much just in 10 minutes a day, which I think is so efficient and such a win. So how do you use a word list, you might ask? Well, let me tell you one thing. Don't just open it up and start reading from beginning to end. That's not going to do you any good because you don't remember anything. Because I remember we used to have a vocab test in 10th grade like every week, and it was the most stressful thing for me because I read the list like 10, 20 times each week and still remembered nothing. And I thought it was something wrong with my brain, but actually it's just that you're using the wrong method. You don't memorize words like that. Later, I did a bit of research about how we learn effectively and how our brain works, and I came up with this really great scientific study method to memorize vocabulary easily and help you improve your vocabulary almost instantly. So first, in the morning, the day you decide to start improving your vocabulary, like kudos to you, this is such a great thing to do and such a good investment for your time. So, okay, first thing you do in the morning, grab the list and highlight the words that you don't know, because chances are you already know some of the words on the list, so you don't have to go over them again. And secondly, copy the words down onto a notebook, like whatever notebook you want, vertically on the left-hand side and leave space on the right-hand side. Do not copy the definitions. I'll say it 3 times. Do not copy the definitions. Do not copy the definitions. Do not copy the definitions. It doesn't do you any good just to copy things down. It's just like when you copy your notes, you don't remember anything. But just read the definitions and try to take it all in. Now, you leave it there and do nothing.
Later.
Then at night, you open your notebook again and try to recall the definitions of the words. If you know, write them down, and if you don't, just leave it blank. It's okay. You don't memorize everything in one try, and that's totally fine because we're all human. And second, review the list and read the definitions of the words that you left blank. Again, do not copy it in the notebook. Just read it and try to take it in again and see if you can memorize it the next day. Now grab a new list and repeat this entire process. Highlight the words that you don't know and copy them into your notebook. Now, the next morning, repeat the same process as you did last night. Try to recall the definitions, and for the ones you can't remember, look at them again. And then after that, grab a new list and copy down the words you don't know. So I think you kind of get the gist of it all at this point. Now repeat this process every morning and night. It takes just about 10 minutes every day. It doesn't have to be a super long list. It can just be a list of 10 words, and that's definitely enough until you know every word in your word list, like your vocabulary book or whatever it is that you use to get your vocabulary words from. There are a lot of great apps for that, and you can just buy a book, buy a SAT words book or whichever vocabulary words book that you really want to know all the words in, and you can use anything. And trust me, it is really that easy. But here's the catch. You might ask me, but what if I forget the words 2 days later? Because I know that sometimes does happen, although kind of rarely, I must say, because if you use this method, you kind of just remember them for life. Well, but like if you actually do forget the words, then you won't if you do these 2 things. So number 1 is to use them in your daily life. And okay, here I don't mean be that obnoxious person in every party who uses big words in every single conversation and has to overcomplicate every single simple thing. If you're interested in the topic, I suggest you read the George Orwell essay, The Politics and the English Language. It is really interesting, and it really shows that although your vocabulary and knowing a lot of words can make you express yourself more effectively, to a certain extent, it's not always true. So yeah, don't be that obnoxious person. But Incorporate them. What you can do to memorize the words better and to improve your vocabulary in general is to incorporate them into your essays, speeches, or any type of writing that you have to do. And also to read literary pieces like books, poetry, and academic articles that you might need for research or just for fun, where you can possibly encounter the words on your list that are a bit outside the periphery of what we ordinarily see in, like, say, an advertisement or something like that. Once you use the new words you've learned, you literally will never forget them. Just try this for yourself. I don't really know how this works, but once you use it, like, it'll just stay in your memory forever. Number two, Number two is take advantage of spaced repetition and the forgetting curve. You might have heard about this curve that tells you how fast you forget information, but realistically, you probably won't have the time or energy to go over all the words that you memorized every 1 day, 3 days, 6 days, or keep track of the days for that matter. So my simplified forgetting curve strategy is that every Saturday, just once every week, it can be any day, I pull out these words, and you can do on your notebook for that week, and I cover up the right side with the definitions. If I don't know the definition of a word anymore, I write it down on my notebook again as if it was a new word. This way, you keep reviewing the words and make sure you don't forget any of them. Okay, now that I've told you what works, let's talk about the scientific study methods behind why it actually works. Because it's based on all the scientifically proven study methods. So first, we are using spaced repetition, which I just talked about, and so I'm not going to repeat it again. And second, we're using active recall, because reading the words won't make you memorize them, just like reading your notes won't make you know the content. But what does work? Looking at the words and actively recalling their definitions, because then you aren't teaching your brain to just look at the answers. You're teaching it to find the definitions when it sees the word, which is the process it has to go through when it sees a word in a book, in an article, in the SAT test. It doesn't have the definition in front of it. It has to go into your brain and then search for the definition, and you're teaching your brain how to do that. And thirdly, why it works is because we're kind of using the Feynman technique. Like sort of how we're using spaced repetition, this is more of a spin-off on the technique. The original Feynman technique is about how you learn something when you teach it to someone else. But in this case, I don't think anyone will genuinely be interested in hearing you talk about what words mean for an entire hour. I mean, no offense, but I just don't think that'll happen. However, using the word in your daily reading and writing is as if you are teaching the meaning of the words to yourself again when you encounter them or try to use them. So I think it's sort of a spin-off on the Feynman technique as well. Because this strategy that I created is based on these 3 scientifically proven study methods, that is why it works so well. So that's it. This foolproof strategy will make you the smartest person in the room with absolutely minimal effort, like just 10 minutes a day. Give it a try, and in a few weeks, you'll be acing the SAT if you have to take it, and your teachers will definitely notice your improvements. Or if you're not in school anymore, I think that expanding your vocabulary is always something that's really fun to do, really important, and also makes you a lot more eloquent. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more study tips and lifestyle content. Love you, and I'll see you next time.